Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to go over two super important exercises to rebalance or counterbalance your handstand. As there are some people that can apparently balance any position, so it doesn't matter where shoulders go or hips go, they can kind of find their straight line again, while others, they struggle much more and they fall out of a handstand if they are slightly changing shoulder or hip position. So today I show you my two favorite exercises to fix that and to work on it for a long-term process. Enjoy. So before we go for the two exercises, let's warm up the spine, especially the thoracic spine, which is heavily involved in those. So we put feet, knees, chest and hands on the wall. And I'm sliding my chest down. And now you see my back is arched, but I want to bring it to a posterior pelvic tilt now. So I'm tilting my pelvis until I'm feeling a nice stretch between my shoulder blades in my thoracic spine. And this is what I want to reach later and target in my handstands. So you see the difference. You can also try it. Go for an arch back, anterior pelvic tilt, and switch to posterior pelvic tilt. Notice the difference, the sensation between your shoulder blades. There will be a very nice stretch. If you tilt even more, with every exhale, you tilt even more. And open your thoracic spine. Straighten your arms. The lower you go, the harder the stretch becomes. And I usually go for like 2 rounds of 30-second holds to set up my spine for my handstand work. Now we start with the first exercise, which will be a shoulder lean. And I kick up to the wall, so I do a cartwheel. And I set up my hands pretty close here. Now I set up my handstand position first. Notice that I'm not arching my back, but I want to tilt my pelvis here already. So a good reference is if you look up, you want to see your hips. If you don't see them, you're probably arching. If you look up and you see your hips, this would be a good handstand shape. And this shape is not going to change. So I try to stay here. Now I lean forward for my shoulders, trying to keep that pelvic position, and from here push up into a handstand. Maybe I fail first time. I go again. Set up my hips, lean forward from my shoulders, push, and trying to find a handstand. And I can go back as well from my shoulders. Good. So in that position you see that I'm trying to keep that pelvic tilt, not changing it. Even when I'm moving forward over my wrists with my shoulders, I try to keep that nice posterior pelvic tilt, do a little planche position, and push my whole body back up. A common mistake is people lean forward and they start arching their lower back. That way you won't be able to balance. And that will look something like this. So they start in a good position, lean forward, and now slowly start arching. Then they start pushing and push back. Rather than keeping it tight, it's almost like a plank position on the wall, leaning forward and having the whole body connected to that shoulder push. Yeah. So this is a very common mistake. I start leaning and I'm falling into a arched back, which I try to avoid, because if I'm arching my back, I'm not going to be able to push my feet over my hands. That must all be connected in one line, and I shift the whole body upside down. Second position will be a hip lean. In that one, the shoulders stay exactly over the wrists, and I'm getting my butt over my head, and I fix my balance from my hips. Will look something like that. So I set up again pretty close. First find my position. Now, other than before, I don't want to lose my position forward with my shoulders, but I stay over my wrist, tilt my pelvis, and I'm sliding down with my feet. Now my hips, they come out a tiny bit. I'm trying to resist with my shoulders, not leaning, keeping it here.
and fix my position from the hips. So it's more from my hip that the movement is coming and that I'm creating the balance.
This is the second method, the second exercise. Notice that here I try to keep my shoulder aligned in the same position, and I'm trying to not change by plunging forward, but I'm using more my hips to come out. So I'm closing my hips and then I'm opening my hips again. As you see here, the common mistake will be you start in a good setup. Again, you start sliding your legs down and you start leaning, and again the result will be pushing back into the wall, which we try to avoid. So those are the two positions basically, or the two exercises that you can focus on. It doesn't matter if you're working on advanced positions or you just started handstands. Those two exercises will give you a lot of clarity to rebalance your handstand. And later you can use them even and combine them and integrate them into one exercise. So let's say now I start in that position. I lean, I use more my shoulders, find the position, try to take the negative as well, go back, set up again, and using my hips now to balance. And then I do multiple reps of those to teach my system that I have both options available, to either use my hips or use my shoulder lean to balance. Later, if you go to a freestanding handstand, you will see that if you are aware of those positions, it's almost impossible to fall out of a handstand, because if you balance and you're losing your shoulders a bit, you just decide to push yourself back. The same thing goes for the hips. I'm losing my hips a bit. Okay, I can just open and close again. And I can now decide which technique I'm using. Also depending on the day, how I'm feeling, using more strength or use more the flexibility of my hips and my thoracic spine to open and find a handstand. Yes. So those two are super powerful. I use them even before press work, before one-arm handstands, and I teach them to most of my clients pretty early, because it's just such a good way to understand those positions, and it increases the range of motion and the point where you can still balance. It increases your base of support, and the more options you have, the more likely you are to catch your handstands, rather than just hanging in your shoulders or being too closed in your shoulders. So those will give you the whole range of motion and understanding how to bring yourself back upside down to a nice handstand. And this is why it's so powerful to learn these two. It's very straightforward. You can film yourself, try to understand if your hip is moving, if your shoulder is moving, how much it is moving. And later, the beauty of it is you can move away from the wall and make it harder. So the further you go, the harder it will be. As you can see now, leaning, tilting. If I go for my shoulder lean now, I have to lean more. So I have to use my shoulders more. Here I'm already in balance. I'm not relying on the wall. And from here, keeping that position to find my handstand. And I can even go back again, trying to keep that shape as long as possible. Use my shoulder strength and come back. Same goes obviously for the hip lean. The further I go away, the more I lean into a 7 position to come up again. So you can scale it for many years, for decades, to make it harder and harder, and it still gives you the same benefits or even more benefits. It gives you strength, but be aware of the right adjustment and good technique, because otherwise you're going to be hanging in your lower back. But we want to make sure we keep that posterior pelvic tilt and working more from the thoracic spine. Like I explained in the beginning, the feeling you will have in your shoulder blades should always be kind of a little stretch in the thoracic rather than hanging in your lower back. So it's that by taking out your lower back, now the opening must come from the thoracic spine, which is the part we would like to work on in a handstand. Yes, I hope those exercises help you. For me, they helped me a lot the last 5 to 10 years in my practice. I give them to all my clients and I see amazing results. Rather than just focusing on the back to wall positions, which are also good, but many people avoid those belly to wall. And for me, in many ways, they are a bit more efficient. They're a bit scary because also you can fall over. That's what people are afraid of. But in terms of understanding of shoulder positioning, hip positioning, using your shoulders or hips to balance, in some occasions they make more sense for people to gain awareness of what's going on upside down. Yes. I hope that helps. There will be more videos coming up now, so I'm very happy that I'm back here filming stuff and explaining more things to you. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me anytime. Feel free to share the video with friends or watch it a few times if you need more technical advice. And yeah, I'm very happy to be back and I see you in the next video. Take care, have a nice day. See ya.